Hi everyone, it's been a long time since I've provided an update. I recorded this update, I started recording several times, but for whatever reason, I'd record for 2 minutes and then I'd get interrupted, or, Bub would start crying, or I'd have a phone call in the middle of it. And I don't really like editing videos much, so I just prefer to do one take. It's much easier. I could go back and edit all those little videos together, but yeah, it's easier just to do it all at once. So much has happened over the last several weeks, but I'm going to try and break down the updates sort of week by week or so from where we left off. And last time I recorded a video, I was talking about the unexpected results of my PET scan. After that, things didn't go to plan again. I feel like sometimes the universe is just trying to, you kind of plan, and then you learn that you can't plan everything. And then again, the universe is like, well, did you think you could plan that little part? No, you can't plan that little part either. So I guess that is very interesting. So I suppose things kind of pick up after that PET scan. The following week, I had been in hospital on the Saturday night in emergency. I think I updated you on that. And they suspected that I had a clot in my arm after I was in emergency, a 10 centimeter clot. So the following Monday, I went for my hematologist visit. My hematologist was on leave, of course. Like, she's an amazing hematologist, but all the hematologists seem very, very capable and thorough at the Canberra hospital. So I had another hematologist check in, and they were interested to see what was happening with the clot. They did tell me to continue with the apixaban, which I had been prescribed for the clot, 10 milligrams in the morning and evening for a week, and then following that 5 milligrams in the morning and evening. So the clot is about 10 centimeters long there. And then after the hematologist meeting, where we had a good chat, said everything was looking on track for the following chemo. And after that, I had the ultrasound in the afternoon, and it did reveal there was a 10 centimeter clot in my arm. I was chatting to the radiographer there, and I was sort of saying, what does it show? Can you see it? And she said, just slow down. I'll let you know at the end. I've got to scan the whole arm, but I was very eager to see what was happening and whatnot. As she was scanning my arm, it was quite sore, and my arm just feels kind of like, it feels like a stabbing pain. It feels like there's like a metal rod in it. And being a mum, that is very hard. Even just working when you feel like you have a metal rod, just typing, just doing everyday things. I usually give Bub a cuddle to sleep, and my arm's been hurting so much. If anyone touches me on my arm, it feels quite sensitive. So that's kind of what it has felt like, having a clot in the arm. And it feels strange to me. I feel like, why do I have a clot? It's just something that's there. I want to get rid of it. But it's, again, these things with cancer, with health, everything takes time. So the doctor said that with the blood thinners, the clot would condense by 1 centimeter for every week that I'm on blood thinners. So he said maybe in 6 weeks' time, it would be gone, which seems like a long time for the blood thinners and for a clot to be there and just having that pain. But that was one of the latest symptoms. On the Tuesday morning, I had an MRI. So we'd ordered an MRI ages ago. That was sort of from April when I first got my diagnosis, because one of my main first symptoms was actually ear pain. And I've felt like there's something in my brain or in my head. I've just felt like there was pain there. It turns out that it could be referred pain from the lymphoma in the chest going up towards the ear. But I just had this feeling like I need to get an MRI. I just want to get it checked out, make sure there's nothing there. And I've had a scan in the past that said that there was a lesion on this side, where I'd had that ear pain. But yeah, ear pain's not usually something that's associated with lymphoma, but that was definitely one of the first symptoms for me. So I wanted to get that checked out, ordered it in April. It was July by the time I got that scan. Going in for that MRI, went in early in the morning, got the contrast dye put in via an IV. Obviously I said, I've got the clot in this arm, so can we go to the other arm? And the nurse had a lot of trouble finding my vein, getting the cannula set up, and had sort of 3 attempts. Then the radiographer got the cannula in. There's many times that people can't find my vein and we have to try multiple times to get a blood test or a cannula in, and it's definitely something I've feared in the past, but it's something I have to sort of live with now. But the radiographer was great and he explained everything very thoroughly and well. I got to watch kind of images on a screen that were quite nice and just sort of relax there. The MRI was of the brain. It makes clicking sounds and whatnot. I've had an MRI before, but it was of my knee. I've never had one of my brain before. After that, I had exercise physiology. So I'm trying to start to get moving again. Something I've been dealing with is definitely cumulative fatigue. The fatigue from chemo is real. And the fatigue that I've been experiencing, I'm usually just such a go-getter person. So it's been really hard to feel like you're trapped or you're stuck and you can't move. So it was good to get in the gym at the Canberra Hospital with my physiotherapist, and she gave me some exercises I can do also for opening up my back, because my back's been a bit stuck, and she just recommended light walking, keep moving. It's just been so cold and rainy though as well, so I have found it hard to get out, and also not wanting to get sick. It was a very cold day that I was there for the MRI and exercise physiology, but it was good to get there. I sort of went on the exercise bike and I pushed myself a bit hard. I was like, oh, I'm in the gym, let's go. And there's other cancer patients there and other physiotherapists and students. They all are nice and going through the same thing. So it was good to just kind of be around people going through a similar journey, I guess. But I'm quite competitive in the gym, so I was like, let's go, which is probably not the best at this time. I did feel, I pushed myself a bit hard and probably went on a higher level than I could achieve, and had a bit of pain in my leg later, but that's what I always do. So yes, take it easy, don't do that. In the afternoon, I came back. My sister had been looking after my daughter at home. I had a nap because I was quite tired. When I woke up from the nap, I was feeling really warm and really hot, and I took my temperature and it was sort of around 37.5. I am neutropenic, which means I have no immune system, and if I do get a fever, it means I go straight to the hospital. So I continued to monitor my temperature. I had a shower as well. I was feeling hot and cold, I started shivering, and so I hopped in the shower, tried to warm up. I had a fever, but then I was feeling cold. It was really bizarre. And then hopped in the shower. Then when I came out, I was just shivering. I was so cold. Took my temperature again, and it was 37.6, 37.8. And I didn't want to go to hospital, so I texted and called my nurse friends and family and doctor people that I know, and they said, if your temperature is around there, you should go to hospital, even though that wasn't what I wanted to hear. I wanted someone to say, don't worry, you'll be fine, but they said I should go. So I had a bit of chemo was due to be the next day, the Wednesday after that as well, my 7th round, and basically made the decision would have to go to hospital. My husband came with me. We dropped our daughter off with my in-laws, went to hospital. When my husband just kind of dropped me off in the emergency bay, and it was quite dark and cold, and as I was walking, there was a bit of a creepy guy walking near me, and he had a big cut on his face. It turned out I think he was just looking where to go for emergency, but I just felt this like, I felt just a bit scared. And yeah, obviously that's where you go if you have a cut, and who knows what his story was or what he was up to. But that was just like personal safety. I don't know, just walking in the dark. And another thing that you have to think about while you're going in, they do rush you through, and they seemed quite serious when I like showed them, like, because you get a form when you have cancer and neutropenia that sort of says you need to be treated fairly quickly within the emergency department because the fever can turn fatal quite quickly. So they rushed me through, and then one of the nurses took my blood pressure and heart rate, and it was really high, higher than I expected. And then I was going through, and they were sort of saying category 2 to bed 25. I can't remember the number of the bed, but it seemed quite serious, even though like I was walking and stuff. So yeah, then we were in emergency for a while. They started giving me some antibiotics. They did try to find the vein and somewhere to put the medicine in. I've still got bruising from it. Don't know if you can see, but yeah, just like where they tried. I think they tried about 6 times to get the cannula in again, which was not fun. But they eventually did, gave me a bunch of antibiotics, took my temperature, and it was still up there, and eventually it went down. My husband stayed with me for quite a while, but it was a rainy night, it was getting dark. We usually go to bed quite early, so I just, like, when it was 11, I was like, just go home and be with Bub and I'll be fine. And so he left around 11, and then I just tried to like get some rest. It was a bit emotional as well because it was my first ever night away from my daughter, which made me very emotional. I just, you're not ready for those little moments, like the moment of giving up breastfeeding so quickly, or the moment of being away from her at night over the first 16 months. I was always with her every night, and that's the first time. And it's just all these like little moments that you let go of that you're not necessarily knowing are going to happen. So that was hard. I just put on some kind of rain sounds in my AirPods, and I had an eye mask. I had a bag of things that one of my friends who has in our lymphoma chat with our 4 friends mentioned to take an eye mask. So I had an eye mask and AirPods in, and although I had the clot on one side and the cannula and the arm that had been butchered on the other side, I just tried to get some rest. And being a busy mum, it is kind of good to have some time where a bub is not going to wake up in the night, but it's also kind of like you're missing that piece of you. So that's a little bit sad. And so then they said they had a bed ready for me in the oncology ward, but it wasn't ready. And so I didn't get admitted to the ward until about 3:30 in the morning. As the wardsman took me through the hospital. It was a very interesting side of the hospital I'd never seen before, going through from emergency in the bed to oncology. It turned out that the wardsman asked me where I was from. I don't know. Of course, I'm from Canberra. Doesn't everyone know that? No. But it turned out we live in the same suburb, and that was really interesting. Like, we actually, of all the places we could live, we lived in the same suburb, and he lives on a really nice street in my suburb that I always walk by and look at the houses and dream that one day we might live on that beautiful street. And so that was just interesting, something to share. And we were going through parts of the hospital where there's all these portraits on the wall, and it just felt weird. It was the middle of the night. Then we arrived at the oncology ward in the room, and it was just nice to have my own space, because on the oncology ward you do get your own room, your own toilet, these little luxuries, right? And there was a nurse there called Maddie, and she asked if I wanted anything. I was a bit hyped up. It took me a while to get to sleep, and she brought me some custard and Sprite. So that was a bit random of all the things she could bring me, but it was nice to have a bit of a sugar hit and sort of try to settle in. And they had to do a bunch of obs and tests, and then I went to sleep. In the morning, though, like only a few hours later, I was woken up by a gentleman who seemed quite old, but I thought maybe he's a very senior doctor. Maybe doctors are in shortage and they need very senior people these days. And so he walked in and I was like, "Oh, sorry, who are you?" He didn't say anything and he just said, "Oh, I'll just check if I need to scrub up and come back in and put a mask on." So he exited, came back in, and then I turned on the light because I was like, they should at least turn on the light or say who they are as they're entering. He had a big bag with a blanket in it and came and sat down on the couch next to me. And he's like, "Oh, sorry." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are." And then he said, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were my wife." And so he thought that was his wife's room. But I just got, again, that personal safety. I just feel a bit creeped out that anyone could just, he wasn't a patient. He just was coming to visit his wife, ended up in my room. And you just worry, are there security checks, other things in place? I pressed the nurse button actually after that because I just wasn't sure. And then later talking to the nurse, he said, "Oh yeah, that's actually a really sad story and his wife used to be in your room." And I'm just like, that's so, I'm a really empathetic person and that just made me feel some kind of way. These are the realities of what it's like in the hospital, I suppose. I was waiting for breakfast for ages and it sort of never came. I think they just forgot me, which was okay. But my husband's cousin actually works at the hospital, and shout out to you. Thank you so much, Jeannie, for coming to visit me. She brought me real coffee and a bicky, and I had a big cry and she just spent time with me. It's not like I wanted a lot of people to come and visit me. I didn't feel like I needed that support, but when I saw her and just little things like having a real coffee rather than a hospital coffee just made a world of difference. So it was really nice to see her, and later on she actually helped plait my hair, and she gave me her HBO password so I could watch, and just like that, the latest of Sex and the City. And little things like that make a massive difference when you're a patient and are the best ways you can support someone. You don't need a massive present or bunch of flowers or massive gesture, even just bringing a coffee or giving a login. I know that's a random one, but that was so helpful, and I just appreciate it. And her just listening when I just needed to have a cry, and just someone supportive to be there that I knew just meant so much. I started to get I don't like to be lying in the bed all the time in the hospital. I like to be active and standing up. That's my nature. So I started standing up and walking around, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go home today. I thought I'd only be in for one night. And so when the doctors did their rounds, I was standing up ready to greet them, and I thought, oh, they're going to discharge me today. But they did say they think I need to stay another day. And then some really unexpected news came, which is weird because I was standing up. I didn't have anyone with me, but they basically said they had the results of the MRI from the day before that I had done, and they found something on my brain. They found a cyst on my brain, and so they were going to refer me to a neurosurgeon. It turns out that a cyst on the brain can be benign, and many people have it. It's just that they never get an MRI of the brain. So, I might have had it since birth and just never checked. But when you're going on a cancer journey and you're measuring things in millimeters, and this was, 10 millimeters that they mentioned, and they're talking about things like a neurosurgeon, and you're standing up, you don't have anyone with you. And I thought I'd had all the bad news. I thought I was having these milestones and on a journey, and that was just completely unexpected. So that hit me a little bit later, and that was full on. And I actually think there was a student as well with them, a student doctor, and she kind of seemed like she just gave me a vibe of like support, even though she wasn't saying anything. But it was good to have her there. If she wouldn't have been there, I just, I think things could have gotten worse. I didn't like that doctor's manner. And also we were talking about bowel movements, and I was saying I think I had diarrhea, but then when I talked about the consistency of my bowel movements, he's like, well, that's more aligned with constipation. And I was just like, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not that's what I thought as a patient. And it's like almost like because I was standing up, I don't know what it was about me. Maybe he thought I knew it all, which I definitely don't. I just try to be an informed patient with high health literacy as I can. But it's almost like he was debating me of whether it was diarrhea or constipation, and he gave me that result like that. So, how many stars would I give you for your manner? No stars. No, I'll give you 2 stars because you did explain things. 2 stars out of 5. And good on you for being a doctor. Like, you do a lot of good work. But yeah, later that day I had a neurosurgeon come and visit, and I was like, wow, I'm surprised that a neurosurgeon would have time to come and see me. And he said he wanted to refer me to ophthalmology to get my eyes checked. They said to watch out for things like headaches, dizziness, and balance problems. I definitely had a lot of headaches before I was diagnosed, so they were worrying about that. And yeah, that was the full-on time. They said they would like to repeat an MRI in a few months to see how the cyst is tracking. And that was, you can see I'm still shocked by that. Yes, it was not what I was expecting on that day. It was meant to be the day after my 7th round of chemo, but now also chemo was delayed from that hospital stay by about a week. The end felt like it was in sight, and then it moved again. On the Thursday, I got discharged, and in the morning, my husband's cousin again showed up, which was really nice, with a coffee when she could. My cancer care nurse came to visit me at one point. My social worker came to visit me at one point, which was really nice. It was just good to have their support and be able to chat to them. But mostly I just hunkered down and tried to rest while I was in hospital. Tried to get better and watched a lot of And Just Like That, and that was a good distraction. I also watched a documentary called My Mum Jane, which was amazing, about old Hollywood star. I think her name's, is it Jane Mansfield? She's just so amazing, and it's by Mariska Hargitay, her daughter, and I loved that. I love the old Hollywood stories, and yeah, that was just something nice and a nice distraction to watch. I also started watching one about Natalie Wood, so there you go. I went down a whole rabbit hole of that sort of stuff. I have been applying for jobs lately as well, while I've been going through all this, because my contract, as I mentioned, that I was engaged in for a while, is coming to an end shortly. And while I was in hospital, I actually got the call saying that I had an offer for a new role. So it all happened at once. And so I'll give an update about that at another time, but it all just kind of happened at the same time. When I was heading home in the afternoon, my mum took me home. It was again very rainy, but we had the Mummy's Wish, who sponsored the clean, that got cancelled 4 times from the previous unreliable cleaner, who shall not be named, but I hope that you have learnt something about logistics, and I hope you don't mess other people around like that. A beautiful cleaner that was recommended by one of my followers, actually, the Greener Cleaner. They did an amazing job. They booked in, they showed up on time, they were here when I came back from hospital. The guy spent ages just detailing, cleaning things, and it just made me feel so good to have that deep clean of the house. It felt like something I really needed. And he didn't say much, but at the end he just said that he's from Bhutan, and he said in their culture, food is medicine, and he said he knows that I'm going to get better, and he wishes me really well, and next time he's going to see me and I'm going to be even better. So it's nice to have these little inspiring moments with different people that you meet along the way. It's just, yeah, I think it's really lovely and inspiring to me. And I do believe these people, and I do believe, like, I do have faith in things. So I rested that afternoon, and on the Friday I worked from 7 till 12. It's been hard wrapping up my work because I've really liked my colleagues. I've really liked this contract. I got the job while I was returning from maternity leave with little Bub. Some of my colleagues have little kids as well. I feel like they're really nice people. So it's hard to say goodbye. Also, like, I feel like I'm in two different worlds because I'm in this kind of cancer world and then go to like the work world, and it's completely different. But yeah, it's just something different. So I worked on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, it was actually my anniversary with my husband from when we started dating. We started dating in 2009. So you do the math, 16 years later. Yeah. And, I thought we'd gone to all different levels through having a baby and having a house and all the things over those 16 years that you ups and downs, wins, losses, celebrations. But cancer is another one, is a new one. And will test your relationship in new ways, but it also, bring you close together and show you what's really important. So that's good as well. I had a lunch on the Saturday as well for my best friend's birthday. It was so nice. We went to Beltana Farm. The food was divine, and it was just so good to catch up with girlfriends and have laughs. And I have, this group of friends that we've had for a really long time, and it just means everything when we can get together, have a laugh and have a joke and share some good memories and have yummy food. And yeah, it was really, really nice, and just go out as a group as well, sometimes without the kids and partners, because it's not often as a mum that you get time to just have a girls day. In the evening, my in-laws had actually made some homemade pizzas for us, so we just had a low-key anniversary at home with homemade pizzas from the in-laws. So thank you, Scott, for making those pizzas. They were delicious. On the Sunday, I had breakfast at home with Baba and husband, and we went for a drive and got a coffee. And then that's the end of that little round. I think, like, there's more to say, and I'm recording this far into the future, but I'm going to leave it there for that one. I had this on my mind for so long, and then I think I overcomplicated it. I couldn't record it. It was a very blurry week. But there were moments of gold glimmers and moments of humanity that really touched me. Just a reminder that, like, cancer is only part of the story. There's more to it, and this is just a point in time. I appreciate you watching, as always. Like, subscribe, comment if you've made it this far. I know that my 4 key followers will probably comment, but I appreciate you guys watching. It's funny, I see people in town and stuff, and they're like, oh, I've been following your journey on YouTube, or even, my homestay sister in Italy has been watching these to keep updated on the journey. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I can just tell everyone one-on-one, but it is actually kind of easier in a way to just record one thing, and then you can chat more about the nuances and the behind the scenes when you chat to different people. So thanks everyone. I hope you are shining bright. I've always got to leave it on a corny note there. And I'll give you more updates soon when I feel so inclined. Take care. Bye.